We had a great discussion with Uwe Bersamle last week about his worldwide travels finding James Bond filming locations, 30 countries and hundreds of sites. So we thought we'd put one out on Spy Movie Navigator's visit to Sardinia, Italy, and all of the Lotus locations, all filmed there for the spy who loved me. Hi, this is Dan.
And Tom.
From SpyMovieNavigator.com and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. Do us a favor and subscribe to our show, won't you? That really helps us keep going. Thanks. Okay, let's dive into Stromberg's world beneath the sea off Sardinia, Italy.
Now, let's start, Dan, with talking about how you get there. Because there are at least 4 airports in Sardinia. And the closest one, the one you're going to want to get to, is Olbia Costa Smeralda Airport. The airport code is OLB, as in boy.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's the closest to where you want to go. So if you're just going for the James Bond location stuff, fly into OLB if you can.
Yeah, it's a large island, and OLB is in the Costa Smeralda, which is the Emerald Coast of Sardinia in the northeast side of the island. Beautiful, fantastic area. All right.
So getting from the airport was kind of funny for me because we live in Chicago area and it's flat.
It's flat.
You get into Sardinia and from at least this part of the island, it was really hilly.
It was fantastically, beautifully hilly.
Yeah, it was gorgeous, but it was just like up and down and twist and turn. Not like mountainous twist and turn, but it was just all this hilly stuff.
No, and the Emerald Coast is gorgeous because the waters are blue and green and fabulous looking. This is a great destination and really one of the great locations that the Bond film folks went to for The Spy Who Loved Me. That really brought back the whole location thing back into the James Bond movies, and it was fantastic. So this is a great spot. And the Lotus chase, one of the best chase scenes in the entire series. And of course, we got the Lotus Esprit, which is unusual, right? It's not an Aston Martin DB5. It's not a BMW. It's the Lotus Esprit. So this is a fantastic spot for James Bond locations and just in general. It's gorgeous.
Now, Dan, you and I, we did not try to rent a Lotus Esprit. I don't know if that was possible on the island.
We did not.
But this is one of those places where if you go, you don't want to try to get everywhere by cab.
No.
Rent a car at the airport. You're going to be happy you did because you have to drive around a little bit to get to all these places. And trying to do it by cab, it just wouldn't work well.
No, and you really want to drive around this island because it's fantastic. So we arrived on Sardinia. We loved it. We rented a car. We drove to our hotel. Of course, we did not get into the Hotel Cala di Volpe, which is where Bond and Triple X stay, because, as we found out, it was closed for the season when we got there. So we couldn't make reservations ahead of time. And we got there around, what, it was mid-October.
Yeah, we got there actually on October 15th.
Yeah, okay. So mid-October, right there. And it was closed for the season. And so we stayed elsewhere.
Well, and in making the hotel reservations there, you go into the hotel apps, and it just says no rooms available for that one, Romasino, La Patrizia, and all of the hotels you would think you'd want to stay at were closed. But you didn't know it from those apps because at the time they were just saying no rooms available.
Right. So, and we remember the Hotel Cala di Volpe. I mean, that's where Bond and Anya are walking through the lobby of that hotel. It's beautiful. And it's right on the water. And it's fantastic. And Tom and I, we wanted, of course, to go see it. So we went to our hotel. We checked in. We dropped our stuff off. And bam, we went right to the Hotel Cala di Volpe thinking, we'll just walk around. And it'll be nice.
Oh, we didn't know it was closed even at that time.
No, we still didn't know it was closed at that time. So we get there.
And I wanted to see Valerie Leon behind the desk as the hotel receptionist.
That would have been great. That would have been worth the trip right there.
Absolutely.
Right. So we got there and it was closed. But we looked through the lobby, the doors into the lobby, and we could see exactly the spots where Bond and Anya were walking, and we could see through the door to the other side where the water is. And we wanted to go see that because that's where, if you recall, that Naomi goes and collects Bond and Anya when she's going to bring them to see Stromberg. So we wanted to go see those steps, see that coastline, see the water, and the doors are locked. We can't even open them. We're trying. So
it was a great start to that trip.
So a guy comes out and says, no, we're closed. And so in really a very, very nice way, Tom and I begged him to let us in and just look that we're James Bond fans and just let us into the lobby and let us go through to the other side, take a few pictures, and we'll leave. And very politely, he said, well, no. Get out, basically. Like, damn it.
Yeah, so it was a good start. We're going to have to regroup off of that one.
Yeah. We, of course, wanted to see that because this is the hotel they're staying in. He drove the Lotus there that he got, and we're going to go look for the spot where Q delivered the Lotus as well. But yeah, we wanted to get in there. So we didn't give up. We went back the next morning.
Yeah, we went back to the hotel and we're going like, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah, now what do? We want to go see that. We're here. We're steps away from the place. So we go back, we talk to another guy, and he says, okay, no, you can't come in there. It's like, wait. All right, we don't give up. We're not giving up. We want to see this thing.
We didn't quote give up, but we decided we were going to say, okay, well, the beach where the Lotus comes out of the water was fairly close to where we were. Let's go look at that and figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah, so we did that first, right? We went down and we said, okay, let's go try to find that. So Tom and I were driving the car down this but we thought this was the road. It's kind of hard to find this one spot. And we're driving down. It's kind of a sandy, bumpy, mogul holes in it. And we're thinking, man, this is a rough road to be going down to this thing. And it's bouncing around. And now the sun is setting. And we're thinking, man, I don't think this is it. So we pull over. So we think, we take a couple of pictures of the sunset. And we see something leaking on the bottom of the car. Tom says, there's a puddle under the car.
There's a puddle under the car.
He's like, well, that's generally not a good sign. So we think, well, what the heck is it? And of course, all the instructions are in Italian. We know a little Italian, but we didn't know what that. Anyway, it turned out that the light that was flashing was for the brake fluid.
Remember, I said this is a hilly place.
We must have hit a hill or something and damaged the brake line or whatever. So we limped back to the hotel with the emergency brake in hand and driving at about 5 miles an hour and trying to get back to the hotel, which we did. And we called and we got another car the next day. So then we're trying to now go back to the hotel, Cala de Volpe, and we can't get in, as we said. So we go around and we look around. We said, you know what? We can't get into the hotel and through the hotel to the lobby to go to the other side.
We left there and said, okay, let's find the beach because we're right there and we'll figure out what to do. As we're driving, we saw a sign that said boat rentals. And we were like instantly like, what would Bond do? Bond would rent a boat and go and take a look at this thing from the water side.
Yeah. So we talked to the guy and he said, okay, sure, get on the boat. And
yeah, we actually had him drive. We didn't rent the boat.
No, we didn't rent the boat. He drove us and took us. And he spent as much time as we wanted for a very reasonable price, I might add.
Yeah.
And we were like Naomi pulling up with the boat to the dock area like she did, which was even cooler than walking through the lobby. Yeah, and now we're taking pictures like crazy. We have all these pictures from the outside, the steps that they walk down and everything else. Very nice. So we got our first Bond location on Sardinia, and we were there in the water. Beautiful.
And we were on a boat, and that when you turn the corner from where the boat was, when you come up to the hotel, as you see the hotel, it's just like stunning to see it. And it's just a gorgeous hotel. And it's from the harbor side, from the water side as you're coming in. That was just really cool.
And our boat made a nice little wake, and waves were splashing up on the shore on the left where they did when Naomi was driving up, when the folks were on the beach there, and the waves are splashing up. We did the same thing. That was cool.
That was very cool.
That was a great location. We would love to stay there if we can get back there again.
If we get back there again, we will not go in the middle of October.
No, I'm not going to go in the middle of October.
That was a mistake.
Yeah. All right. So we found a hotel. We know the beach area where the Lotus comes out of the water was nearby, but we want to go first to the ferry dock. We want to see where the Lotus was delivered, right? Q comes. This is special. He's bringing the car. So we go out in search of the ferry dock where the Lotus is delivered by ferry boat to Bond and Anya. So we're driving. We had a fairly good idea. And really, I'll give a plug to Martin Mulder's book on the tracks of 007. It was very helpful. We had that with us, of course, all the time, and everyone should have that book. It's a great book, and he's got tons of books out now on location stuff, Japan and Matera, Italy, and so on. So anyway, check his books out. Really good. We got an idea of where the ferry dock is.
Well, we know the name of the town.
We know the name of the town. It's Palau. And we know there's piers there and there's a ferry dock there. So how hard can that be to find? Well, it's it's near Punta Nera in Porto de Palau. So, okay, you got enough information. So we did have to drive around quite a bit to find it, but we did find it. We see it in the distance. There's a kind of a parking lot thing. We parked the car and we walked down to the ferry docks, and lo and behold, there's a ferry boat out there.
Yeah, there's a ferry there. It was perfect.
It's like, okay, let's wait to see if Q's getting off.
Yeah. Is he going to bring us a Lotus?
As you recall, the ferry boat pulls up and Q pulls the Lotus off the ferry boat and onto the pavement there in the parking lot. And you see this beautiful background. We're standing on the very spot where the Lotus was sitting, where Q was trying to explain all of the devices and gadgets on the Lotus. And there is that electrical post thing in the background that you could see in the movie. There's another one there now. It's a different one, but it's in the same spot. You could line yourself up to find exactly where the Lotus was, which we did. And we took lots of pictures there and so on of all the background, all the cliffs and everything else, all the surroundings, the water. And it looked exactly like the movie. Then have all the stands, the selling stuff and whatever they are. Of course, that's all part of the movie, but fabulous little spot.
Well, we were off season. That might be there normally, Dan.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that could be too. That's true. And Q did not show up, and but this is the exact spot where she was telling me, hey.
Now pay attention, 007. I want you to take great care of this equipment. There are one or two rather special accessories.
Q, have I ever let you down?
Frequently.
This is where it happened.
And then we had to go back into our rental car going like, man, I really wish this was the Lotus.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, okay, but we found the spot and it's gorgeous. So check it out in Palau. So near Punta Nera, Porta de Palau.
And that's spelled Palau.
Yeah. And it's a gorgeous, beautiful location. And everyone should just take a look there. If you're a Bond fan, hey, you got to go there. This is where the Lotus was delivered. Nice. So now what?
So that one was okay, right? I mean, it's a port. There's a ferry that gets off of it, and it kind of looks the same now.
Beautiful, though.
But then we went to San Pantaleo, which is up in the hills. Why? Because that's where the motorcycle chase starts.
This is where the chase starts of the Lotus. And everyone knows about the Lotus chase in The Spy Who Loved Me. It's world famous. This was a beautiful, and it's bringing you through some gorgeous areas as well. Well, anyway, the Lotus chase begins in this little town, San Pantaleo, as Tom said. Now, where is that? All right, you gotta drive around. That's why you can't be Ubering or whatever. You gotta drive around in a car that you rent, because you're going to be going lots of places here. But again, this is a beautiful spot. We wanted to find the exact spot where the Lotus chase began. So we're off to San Pantaleo, and that's off of Route SP-73, I think. And so you have some idea. It's in the province of Sassari, and it's at a road near Cala Dragunara. Wow. Okay. So
Yeah,
We're
but
looking all over.
this wasn't really that hard to find. San Pantaleo.
No,
There are road signs off of SP 173.
the town is not hard to find.
SP 73 that gets you there. Yeah,
Right.
but
What
getting to
was
that.
hard to find
Yeah.
was the exact spot where the chase began. Because if you don't have the exact spot of where the chase began, well, then you're failing in this mission here. And our
Well, no,
mission,
in your opinion, you're failing. There are people who are saying, okay, this is the square.
yeah,
I don't need to be standing exactly where the motorcycle is. But then there are other people who are like, I've got to be standing there. So if
Yeah.
you're one of those that are, I've got to be standing there, there's a little trick that happens to your eyes on this one.
yeah. Well, I mean, part of it was the Lotus drives up through this little area, through a wall, and there's really a church
Not through a wall, around a wall.
around the wall. Yeah. And on the wall, it's Piazza della Chiesa, which is the piazza of the church. Well, there's a big church there, which the Lotus drives by. You don't see the church in the movie, but he's driving up in this little road between this wall thing that has the sign on there that says that and this church. And then he turns to the left and starts driving away.
And the motorcycle follows him.
Motorcycle takes a right and starts to follow him.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to find out, and it took a little time because some of now, of course, we have the movie with us and a laptop, and we're watching the movie while we're walking around trying to find the spot.
We kind of looked a little goofy, I think.
Some people thought, who are these guys? But we didn't care. So we're looking around, and there's a piazza, the square, and it's really rectangular. And there was a nice little coffee shop at one end of it, and then the far end of that square is where the motorcycle sat waiting. So there's a curbed area around the whole piazza square, and then the Lotus drives, he turns to the left after he comes into the piazza, and then the motorcycle turns right, and we found exactly the spot where the motorcycle sat waiting and turned right and started following the Lotus.
Yeah, but the hard part though was the next part, because why we were there for a long time.
We were there a long time
because in our pictures we were looking for a balcony. The pictures had a balcony.
There was a building with a balcony in the movie, but there's mountains in the background too, and the mountains were very distinctive. There's a tall mountain that almost looks like Devil's Tower or whatever. It's a tall mountain that's very, very identifiable. But we were looking for this building, saying the Lotus is driving past this building with this balcony.
It's like the balcony should be right there. But there's no balcony there.
No balcony there. So we're thinking, well, it's got to be a different building. Now, so we put our Sherlock Holmes hats on and we go up to this building where the balcony is in the movie, and we're taking pictures of it because there's an outline in the brick of this building of where a balcony used to be.
Yeah, but we started, quarter mile away from there, so we couldn't see this. So we're looking down, going like, that can't be the right road he drove down because there's no balcony.
Because in movies they turn left and they could be 80 miles away. We wanted to make sure. No, they're going through this. Well, this was the building he was driving past, so we got that part as well. Then he drives through the little town with the farmacia there, and with all the men sitting on the side road. In fact, Tom and I were sitting on that side road trying to figure out what the heck, where we were with this thing. We were sitting right where those old men were sitting in the movie.
Looking at the movie, trying to figure out, okay, where the heck is this?
Where is this? And then we realized, hey, we're sitting actually right at a location that they filmed. So we drove down that road as well, where they're flying by there and the motorcycle turns to follow them. So that was terrific. That was fun. So now the chase is on. So we drove down the road, right, Tom? We drove down the road where motorcycles chasing them.
Yep. I think it was, in the town, but then when he got out of the town, you drive down that road, which is, it was either 125 or 94, because we were on both on that part of the trip. I don't remember which one it was. Yeah.
And that was neat. It was, again, beautiful. And you got mountains, you got water, you got everything. It's just a fabulous little area there. And then we said, okay, all right, this is the motorcycle part. But then we're on the road where the car chase happens, where, of course, Jaws is in the car with the other guys, the other goons, and they're shooting after Bond. And Bond's thinking, man, this is okay. Here's a car chase now. And you got to wonder, okay, the motorcycle failed, and what, do they have a car waiting just in case? Hey, okay, that's good planning, I guess. In case the motorcycle screws up and misses him with the sidecar. Now, the sidecar part is interesting because the sidecar of the motorcycle, you remember, he launches, that's the missile, and it hits the feather truck and the mattress truck or whatever, and then the feathers go all over the place and everything. Well, there was actually a guy in that sidecar driving it. And they had to speed it up because it could only do like 20 miles an hour. They had to actually speed it up in the film to make it look like it was going faster. But anyway, that was a little side note on the sidecar part. So now the car chase starts, of course. So the car chase, you remember, we see the Lotus gadget for the first time, one of the Lotus gadgets for the first time, when the license plate flips down and it starts shooting out stuff at the car trailing it, right, with Jaws and so on. This is why they crash, because some stuff splashes all over the windshield of the car, Jaws' car, and they can't see anymore, and they crash off the cliff. So that's great. Well, what they used actually, shooting all over it, looked like cement, really, that's kind of sticking to the windshield. This kind of looks like wet cement, not dry cement. But what they actually used was oatmeal. But there we were on the same road where the oatmeal was sprayed on the car. So that was cool. That was cool.
So now he's driving, and then Naomi pops up with the helicopter, and there's that space where there's the concrete, the small little concrete wall, and like a little turnoff.
Yes.
And that turnoff does exist. You can be there. The wall is still there. There's a sign as you're driving that says Per Bivio San Pantaleo, kilometer 6 on the left side of the road. So when you see that, directly behind that is where this structure is, where the wall is and the little circle that's there. And that really does exist. You can stop there. You can take pictures. From what we heard is it can get fairly busy there. But when we were there, we were off season, I guess. So it wasn't bad, but it's pretty cool because you can stop and it's like you're right there where that helicopter pops up, and they do that turn around the concrete wall.
Yeah, you really want to get there. I think it was early. If you get there early, I think it was pretty good because there was really virtually no one around when we were there.
Right.
But it was kind of cool to find because this is where he's driving around the wall trying to escape. Naomi chases him in the helicopter when he finds that, hey, you ever get the feeling somebody doesn't like it? Because boom, here comes the helicopter. So it's really cool because it swoops up the helicopter and then goes after him. And then that little wall part is really one of the key parts of his escape, and where he's spinning around the wall and trying to get out of there. So that part was really cool to find that wall. And it was, I don't know, not hard to find. It was relatively easy.
Martin's directions on the tracks of 007 were pretty good for getting you there.
Definitely check that out on the tracks of 007. Excellent. And really, you could drive by it and miss it, but then you'll turn around. So we took pictures of it. We took pictures of the walls that we could see in the movie to verify that the rock formation in the walls was the exact formation in the movie and what we're looking at now. And then we took a lot of pictures at the wall and of the wall. It's a beautiful vista. You should stop there anyway and take a few minutes just to look at the vista. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, if you look out over it. I just kept, just like I wanted the Lotus to appear on the dock, the ferry dock, I was waiting for the helicopter to pop up.
Yeah, right. I mean, a lot of this, I mean, I love visiting the actual locations, not the studio stuff and whatever, but the actual filming locations. And this is one of those things that it's just great to find because you think, okay, this was one of those pivotal moments in the chase, and we are there. It's pretty cool. So you would love to find that little spot as well. Now
you said that he uses that to get his escape.
Part of his escape. Yeah.
So then he goes driving, and we then drove to what would be the next spot, which is where the Lotus plunges into the water.
Yes.
That it's not just a car.
Yeah. You got to find that spot because this is another key thing, right? This is actually the pivotal spot of his escape because now he's going into the water, and now we understand for the first time that the Lotus is also a submersible.
which was very cool.
Yeah, and, Q didn't even explain this to Bond because Bond didn't want to waste his time. But this is kind of cool. So we were looking for this spot.
Yeah. So when we're looking for this, we're looking at the movie, and Bond drives on this sand. So he's on a beach, and that sand is really called Spiaggia Licia di Vaca. So Licia di Vaca is the area, Spiaggia, it's the beach of Licia di Vaca. And he comes driving down that beach, and then he turns right onto this road that goes out to the pier. And I mean, that beach exists, Spiaggia Licia di Vaca, and it comes in, the road there is adjacent to a hotel called Hotel Petrizza. And it's another luxury hotel. It was closed when we were there, of course, because all the big hotels on the costa were closed. But Hotel Petrizza is where this pier is. And you can get on that road, drive to the end of the road, and you're at the pier. I mean, the actual pier that he drives off of.
Now, there were some things that, of course, Licia di Vaca, by the way, means beach of the cows.
I didn't see any cows.
No, I didn't either. But that's where the shepherds used to bring their flocks to pasture, which, hey, that was a pretty nice spot. But anyway, that's what it means. But when we drove down this road, it was like wasn't it through the resort that was closed?
It was,
and we weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
I don't think we were supposed to be driving down that road, but that didn't stop us because we wanted to see the pier. So we kept going, and we went down the road. We parked the car, and we thought, oh my God, this is the pier. It's the exact pier. We went to the end of the pier. We took all these photos again of the bluffs and the cliffs around there, exactly identical to the cliffs in the movie. So we knew we were at the pier.
Well, and that's actually one of those things when you're doing location hunting, using the terrain, especially in the distance, is a great way to help you figure out if you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, because that doesn't change that much. No. Mountains and cliffs and bluffs and stuff like that. And the trees might be bigger or whatever.
Yeah, all of that can change.
But yeah, that's a good point. And so we knew we're standing there on the pier where the Lotus was plunging into the water, knocking all the boxes off and everything, when he says, "Can you swim?" to Anya. It's like, okay. And again, we're taking a zillion pictures, and this is where the helicopter was hovering with Naomi flying it. When she sees the car plunge into the water, she's kind of waiting to think, oh, what's going to happen here? And that's when he's underwater. Now the car.
Yeah, we didn't drive our car underwater. We took it to the pier and stopped.
The first one we should have. But she's waiting for the Lotus. And so the Lotus they drove a car off of there, but the underwater part you see, the very first part you see of the car underwater, is a model. And then they have a bigger model. Now they filmed the rest of it, I think, in the Bahamas, the underwater part, I believe.
They film most of their stuff there in the Bahamas because they know where to do that, because that's where they did Thunderball. And I think they use that same area for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. And now you'll see, of course, that the helicopter hovering, he says,
it's time we said goodbye to an uninvited guest.
And the missile comes up through the guided system, and bam, he blows up the helicopter with Naomi. That's the first woman Bond kills in any James Bond movie. So Naomi gets the credit for being the first. And so that was kind of neat. But you'll see as the car driving under the water, and I didn't notice this until watching it a lot for us to talk about this now, you'll see bubbles floating from the car. And I thought, what? Why would there be bubbles unless there's a leak? Later on, we see him throw a fish out. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a leak. But no, in actuality, what happened was there were two scuba divers in the car with tanks because the car wasn't waterproof or anything else. And the front windshield is very dark. You can't see through the front windshield, if you notice. And the bubbles are coming up from their oxygen tanks. That's what I read. I think it was like, did a little research on that. It's like, what? Okay.
Okay. So now you just talked about the fact that this is where Naomi gets killed.
Yeah.
And one of the big reasons we went to Sardinia was because we were going to meet Caroline Munro. And so we went to Sardinia to see where she filmed her scenes for this movie. And
that's a great point, because this was a whirlwind trip we were taking. We went to Portugal, Sardinia, Amsterdam, and London. We were going to be in London. We were going to meet with Caroline Munro. So
we added Sardinia to the trip because
Yes.
we were going to be able to meet with Caroline.
yeah, and we were so close.
Well, when you're in Chicago,
Yeah.
anything's close if you're over.
Yeah, you're leaving Lisbon, you're close. Except we had to fly to Frankfurt, I think, first, and then to
Oh, we ended up
Sardinia.
in we went through Stuttgart once too. I don't remember. It was
yeah.
it was a
We
weird
had to go
trip.
far away from where we were wanting to go, but we ended up getting there. Anyway,
Okay,
so
so
there it is. We're on the pier.
And speaking of getting far away, they're underwater. They kill Naomi, and then the Lotus comes out of the water.
Yeah.
But it's not at Spiaggia Liscia di Vacca.
No, yeah, it's not where he plunged into the water.
It's over by the beach that's fairly near the Calle di Volpe.
Right.
So the
Which
first
is-
hotel we tried to go into, that beach is close to that hotel.
Yeah. Now it's a very, very beautiful beach. So we said, okay, we found where the Lotus was delivered. Q delivered the Lotus. We found where the Lotus chase began in that piazza. We followed the road where the motorcycle went and the car chase went, and we found the helicopter chase route in the wall. We found where the car plunged into the water. Now we have to find the beach where it's coming out of the water, and we've completed the circuit. So we're looking for this beach. And once again, Martin's book is very helpful. This beach is Capriccioli, Spiaggia Capriccioli. And
That's Capriccioli if you're looking it up.
yeah. And we wanted to see where it came out of the water. So we parked the car. The beach was still open. It
Yeah,
was
there's a
nice,
really big parking lot there.
yeah, it was a nice warm day. And they had a little, snack area where you could buy some food and so on. We were hungry. So we said, okay, let's get something to eat. So we started talking to the lady who ran the place, and she was there when they were filming.
She
the
was
movie.
great.
So she, after we ate, went out with us and showed us the exact spot where the Lotus comes out of the water. And now you could see it. When she showed us that, we're looking at the movie, we're like, yeah, this is the exact spot. Again, like Tom mentioned, the bluffs and the landscape and everything else verifies exactly where the Lotus comes out of the water and that this is the correct beach.
Well, she also took us to the
Capriccioli.
side. She took us to the side and was like, okay, here's where they took that shot. When the thing came out, the camera was over here.
Yes, she showed us where the cameras was.
Yeah.
And then we found out, of course, that they pulled the car out of the water through an underground below the sand cable that they had, because the car's not driving out of the water. and so all of that was there. But there we was. Now we've found where the Lotus comes out of the water. So we've completed the circle of the Lotus chase. Fantastic areas, beautiful vistas everywhere. This beach is fantastic. If you ever go to Sardinia, you want to go to Spiaggia Capriccioli because the whole area is beautiful.
And I
have a little
imagine in
snack.
season, that's a very popular beach. I imagine it gets pretty crowded.
Yeah, there were quite a few people there when we were there.
Yeah.
But then again, you walk all over the beach, you take all these pictures, and boom, just like the movie.
Yeah.
And I love filming locations like that where basically nothing's changed. It's like, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and what was kind of nice, you talked about we completed the circuit of where the Lotus went.
Yeah.
We went and stayed there for 2 nights, and we got to see all of the locations we targeted. We got to see what we were trying to go. And we had some problems. Like it took us a long time in San Pantaleo to figure out where we were. So we were there a lot longer than you would have figured.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure this out. And then we had our adventure of driving on what wasn't really a road, I guess, or whatever, and had our
Going out
car
the brake line.
problem. Right. So, but still, with all of that, we were there for 2 nights. We were go, go, go the whole time.
Yeah.
So for me, I would have liked to have one more night there just to take in the island a little bit.
Yes.
Because we were, it was really, but as Dan said, we were on such a whirlwind trip.
Yes.
But it was so focused on the Bond stuff. So if you're traveling with family and they're not all that interested in all the Bond stuff, you can go stay at one of those resorts because the whole coast there is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
And
Yes.
gorgeous resorts. Stay at one of those resorts and you can take your time and go off and see these sites while the family enjoys the resort town because it is close enough to be able to do it. So I think one more night would have been nice.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
Just because we were so running around.
Yeah, the place we stayed was nice too, except it was very hilly. You had to walk up these hills to get to your spot and so on. But the man there, as you recall, that we ate there at the hotel both nights because we were so tired.
And we drank in the bar there.
We drank at the bar there. The guy had never made a Vesper Martini before, and so we told him what was in it, and he made some fabulous Vesper
I would say that he can no longer say he's never made them because he made quite a few for us, if I remember correctly.
He had good practice by the end.
And that resort is called Leia Bianca Luxury Resort.
There you go.
And so it's on
It was very nice.
Cala de Ginepri. So if you look up EABIANCA, that's the name of the hotel. It was a very nice hotel. It is not at the beach where the stuff happened from the movie because they were all closed. But this one was open and we were very glad it was because it was a very nice place.
Yeah. All right. So we've done it all. That's a wrap on our Lotus Esprit chase scenes in Sardinia, Italy from The Spy Who Loved Me. All right. If you're visiting James Bond filming locations, Sardinia should be on your list. It's beautiful. The people there were great. And importantly, there are some very nice filming locations, all in the same part of the island. All right. This has been Dan.
And Tom.
of SpyMovieNavigator.com and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. You know someone who needs to hear this? Share this episode with them. Tell a friend. That really helps us keep going. Thanks for spending time with us. We appreciate it.